Hey, what's going on, guys? J-Mac here. So today I dropped the Dagger of Darts, the new ceremonial knife for the Witch Doctor. Your poison darts and your fetish's poison darts now pierce. This seems like an extremely good alternative to the Star Metal Kukri in the Carnevil builds. The Carnevil, your fetishes shoot a poison dart every time you do. So you have a ton of fetishes out all shooting poison darts, and every one of those darts are going to pierce with this ceremonial knife. It's pretty sick. It allows for a lot of multi-target damage in the build, and it also allows you to spawn fetishes more quickly from the passive with just shooting poison darts. With your poison dart hitting multiple targets, you have even more chances to spawn the fetishes from the passive. A lot of times in earlier Carnevil builds, what I would do is run an ability to spawn those fetishes and then shoot darts with them afterwards. Now it seems like it is viable to run just poison darts for spawning those fetishes. Alright, let's get right into the abilities. So we're going to run Poison Dart Snake to the face for the stun. You also can stun multiple targets with one cast with this new ceremonial knife, having the darts pierce. Keep in mind that the fetishes still shoot just a vanilla dart. They do not use the rune that your character uses. And your other option would probably be Splinters here for more damage. If you wanted that, you just lose the utility of Snake to the face. We're going to run Fetish Army Legion of Daggers as a cooldown. You could run 4-piece Zuni Masa in this build to have 8 fetishes out from Legion of Daggers at all times, but if you do that, you're going to lose some toughness, and you're going to be able to run things like Ucapian Serpent and stuff like that. Running this as a cooldown is just fine in the build. We're going to run Tribal Rites and Grave Injustice to reduce the cooldown of Fetish Army, along with a little bit of CDR on our gear to make sure that this is up quite often. You're going to be able to cast this for the majority of Elite and Champion and boss fights. So it's still pretty good even as a cooldown. The other thing is they actually fixed the bug where Fetish Sycophants and Fetish Army were interfering with one another. The passive would overwrite the Fetish Army fetishes, so you don't have that issue anymore. So it allows you to run these two in tandem now, which is good. Big Bad Voodoo Slam Dance for more damage, pretty self-explanatory. Piranha's Paranado to pull everything together. This is really crucial for this build because this is going to be a lot about positioning. You want to position properly to get maximum damage on your darts since they're piercing now. And pulling everything together with Paranado really allows you to do that. Spirit Walk Jaunt for 3 seconds on Spirit Walk. Summon Zombie Dogs, Rabid Dogs. We're going to run a Tall Man's Finger for the big dog. Even though we're not running any passives to make the big dog hit really hard, things like Midnight Feast and Fierce Loyalty and stuff like that, it still does really good single target damage. We're stacking poison damage, so it buffs it. And it's also a nice meat shield. We're going to run a Ucapian Serpent for some more damage mitigation as well. It's very solid in the build. This potentially could be other things, though, if you don't have a Tall Man's Finger. Just play around with that spot and see what you like. Pierce the Veil for more damage. We hardly use any mana in this build, so this is an obvious choice. Tribal Rites, mainly for the Fetish Army cooldown reduction, but it also reduces the cooldown of Big Bad Voodoo, which is quite good. Summon Zombie Dogs as well, but that's a little bit less relevant than the other two. Fetish Sycophants, kind of how the build runs. Going to try to spawn as many of these as possible. You'll notice with this new ceremonial knife that you can have out anywhere from 10 to 15 fetishes just shooting darts, with your own character shooting darts, spawning them. Before, there's no way you could even get close to that with just hitting one target at a time with the dart. Grave Injustice for cooldown reduction, pretty obvious, probably our best passive, and in this build is extremely good. We have a lot of cooldowns, and the cooldowns in the build are really crucial to how it runs. Alright, so let's take a look at the gear. So we're going to run the Dagger of Darts. It's not a great roll on this item, but even with a bad roll, Torment 6 is going to be pretty easy. We'll do a Torment 6 Rift here in just a minute. But with a great roll, I could see being able to use this build in pretty high difficulties for the most part. We got the Carnevil with a cooldown reduction gem in there. This could easily be a life percentage gem if you decide you need more toughness. Rakoff's Glass of Life with poison damage on there. Obviously, all of our damage is going to be poison. The poison darts are poison damage. You could also have a socket. Ogild's 3-piece with poison damage on the bracers, the chest piece, and then Fetish Army damage on the shoulders. We're going to run Tasker and Theos, even though the increase to attack speed of your pets is pretty irrelevant for the most part in this build, because whenever you shoot a dart, your fetishes shoot a dart, so that's based on your own character's attack speed. At times, they will be attacking in melee range, so you get a little bit of a benefit there. And there's no other gloves to really run in the build. We're going to run a Witching Hour for attack speed and crit damage. We got Blackthorn's 2-piece here for the extra 10% damage versus elites and vitality. This could also be Captain Crimson's pants and boots, or Kane's pants and boots. Either way would be just fine. Kane's is pretty sick for 8% more attack speed. We're going to run a Eucopian Serpent. 28% of all the damage we take is redirected to our Gargantuan Zombie Dog. We're going to run a Unity here. We're going to run a Unity on our Templar, and then the Relic that the Templar cannot die for a lot of damage mitigation solo. And then we've got a Tall Man's Finger with a socket and the one legendary gem we're currently running. I'd like to run at least 2 legendary gems, but currently we're just running the one. That's the only item I have a socket on for the build. So let's go ahead and get right into the legendary gems and talk about which ones will be good for this spec. We're only running 1 legendary gem at the moment. I would like to have 2 sockets on my jewelry to run at least 2. 3 would be nice. But the first one we're going to run is the Gogok of Swiftness. 50% chance on hit to gain Swiftness, increasing your attack speed by 1% for 4 seconds, stacking up to 15 times. And then at rank 25, you also get 1% cooldown reduction per stack of Swiftness. And we've already talked about how good cooldown reduction is in this build. So that you get 2 effects out of this gem. It's really good, and it's really easy to keep the stacks up in the build with the darts piercing and hitting a bunch of things. But obviously attack speed is really solid. The faster you're attacking, the more fetishes you're going to be able to spawn from the passive. Extra attack speed also gives damage to your pets, and it's just all around really good in the build. You could also run the Enforcer gem, gives damage to your pets, and then at rank 25, they take 25% less damage. You got the Bane of the Powerful, you get 20% increased damage for a duration after killing an elite pack. And then at rank 25, it increases damage against elites by 15%. This thing is like good for every class and every spec. It's just a really solid all-around legendary gem. You got the Pain Enhancer, which currently this bleed is actually proccing from your fetishes and pets in general critting. Now, fetishes normally don't have a proc chance. Now, I don't know if this is a bug or not, or if this is intended, but whenever your fetishes crit at the moment, you're going to get that bleed effect. And then at rank 25, it grants 3% increased attack speed for each bleeding enemy within 20 yards. So you get even more attack speed to shoot more darts and spawn more fetishes and deal more damage. So if this stays the way it is and continues to be procced by your pets, this could be a really, really good gem in this build. We've also got the Moratorium potentially for the staggered damage. Take 25% of all damage is staggered and dealt to you over 3 seconds. Definitely something that you could run potentially if you feel like you need some more damage mitigation. That way you're not getting like one-shotted by things. You're not taking as much burst damage. We got the Zaya Stone of Vengeance. This is an interesting one. I haven't actually tested this out yet, but theoretically it should be pretty good. Damage you deal is increased by 4% for every 10 yards between you and the enemy hit. Maximum 20% increase at 50 yards. If you played to the strengths of this gem, you should be able to stay pretty far away from the enemy and get a lot of damage out of this thing. And then at rank 25, 20% chance on hit to stun the enemy for 1 second. So you could run that in tandem with Snake to the Face, or you could ditch Snake to the Face for Splinters and run this as kind of the Snake to the Face effect. So I'm going to run a Torment 6 Rift. I'm going to turn my mic off for the gameplay portion of the video. Hope you guys enjoy it. So there you go, guys. The build is really fun, and hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.